Hello and welcome to the hard sell where the stick in the swill-bucket rattles back. It's another
Have a break.
This time it's very much prime time, albeit Friday evening prime time, which is perversely something of a ratings dead zone for the main channels as everyone's out down the pub. On this particular evening, Friday the 3rd, 1993, BBC One was showing an hour-long clip show of the Generation Game, for instance. ITV are fighting back with one of a string of TV movies adapted from the novels of Danielle Steel, The Enemy Within.
My guy in patches can only hope to match the evil propaganda that a pen can dispatch. And she better love him good, or she'll take it on the chin. A woman is a woman to the enemy then. Can put up a fight, the man will always win. And Danielle Steel, the enemy within.
Author of approximately 7,000 books, all very similar, full of redundant prose, insanely detailed descriptions of props and backdrops as a substitute for characterization, and plots which tend to resemble the stories from Simon Bates's Artune, only with impossibly rich and beautiful people instead of doughy proles from Welling Garden City. Usually recent widows with coincidentally the same hair and eye colour as Danielle Steel. This one is Palomino. It's about the romance between a photographer and a cowboy. There, now you don't have to watch it. You pretty much know the entire story. But for the record, as an educated guess, he's probably already married to his horses or his ranch or whatever, and she spends the entire film pining for him, despite the fact that he's an egotistical prick with no redeeming features whatsoever, beyond a square jaw and hairy chest. Until in the final act he finally comes round, by which I mean he stays an egotistical prick, but he agrees to marry a photographer. Oh, also at some point she ends up in a wheelchair. We're in the Granada region, for what it's worth, in its crispy blue ribbon era.
The thing about DIY is...
Bergerac infestation. You're going to need to set up a straw model of Charlie Hungerford in your garden, with a bug zapper hidden in his cigar.
What do you do if you bought too much? What do you do if you're given something you've already got?
So John Nettles is apparently an all-knowing demigod who can materialise in your house at will, like most people from St Austell.
What do you do if you bought the wrong tool for the job?
So many nightmare scenarios.
What do you do if you change your mind?
Well, in this particular case, he's probably left it too late. That particular Rubicon's pretty much been crossed once you've actively completed the process of decorating. Apart from anything else, do you really want to go through it all over again? Just reconcile yourself to spiced squash, or caramelised orange, or boiled carrot, or whatever foodstuff that shade of orange is supposed to be named after. Anyway, here's the good news.
Well, if you bought it from Do It All, what you do is just take it back.
Yes, Do It All now have an open returns policy. No questions asked. As long as you have the receipt, obviously. Which is such a wondrous development, they've commissioned a string quartet version of their theme tune.
Do It All have always promised their prices won't be beaten, but now they're making a promise that nobody else makes. If you're not completely satisfied, whatever the reason, they'll take it back.
Do It All. We'll always take it back.
But what do I do if I didn't buy to Do It All?
Well then fuck you, B&Q boy. No better next time.
in your Quest pack.
A partwork magazine? Well, I never. There were so many of these in the 80s and 90s. Natural history, science, computer programming, arts and crafts, general knowledge. Just about the only subject that didn't get one was dogging. It was like Marshall Cavendish and Scholastic and all the rest knew the World Wide Web was around the corner and that this was the last chance I'd ever have of selling this sort of book. This one, Quest, is a republished snack science sort of a thing, which seems, judging by this advert, to have been an attempt to teach some unremittingly bleak truths without traumatising the kids too much.
You'll discover that the planet Jupiter doesn't have a solid surface. How dolphins are trained to lay mines for the US Navy. How satellites can see what you're doing from space. And why World War III could be over in half an hour. There are models, posters, projects and fact sheets to collect.
Well, let's go through it. A highly disturbing military application for dolphins. A piece encouraging your child to nonchalantly accept constant government surveillance. And a cheery article about global thermonuclear war. Main advantage, it'll be over quickly. Oh, and a bit about how sharks can and will kill you.
And part 1 is at the special price of 30 pence.
A computer error could destroy our planet. Free binder.
Discover the world of science with Quest.
The Comet sale has been extended, but hurry, it must end on Saturday.
Comet liked reusing this stock footage every time they had a sale, which was often. Admittedly, it is quite good for the purpose. There's a rhythm, and therefore a momentum that works straight on the reptile brain. The current sale's been extended, but hurry, it absolutely must end on Saturday, no matter what happens. I always wondered about that must, which showed up on sales adverts all over. Why must it? Is it the law? Would you go to prison for sending a Kenwood Chefette below RRP after a certain deadline? Or will the shop explode? Are the IRA involved? Is this biblical? Is it a commandment from God?
Thou must end the sale on Saturday, or die.
You know where to come.
Now those are shiny, shiny trousers. Remember that failed Wonder Woman TV series pilot a few years back that was apparently shit and awful? The one by David E. Kelly that supposedly came across as unused scripts from Ally McBeal with occasional superpowers. Well, they gave Diana trousers like these for that. They probably had her fighting off CGI teacups and forks covered in spaghetti too. It's a fairly straightforward metaphor, although the musical backing with a steel band cover of In the Mood is a bold choice. It's on point in a sense. Reggae and dancehall, albeit watered down for white people, were having a bit of a moment in 1992 and 93, with the likes of Inner Circle, Shakademus and Pliers, Fetal Shaggy, and even some specky douche from Canada, all having #1 hits for no apparent reason. Having said all that, the chiming Mentos sounds of this advert probably have more to do with The Little Mermaid.
Throughout the day, your clothes pick up all sorts of dirt and odours. Ordinary big bottle liquids only get out ordinary dirt and can fade colours. New Radion Colour has a bleach-free cleaning system that tackles tough stains and odours without fading colours.
Anyway, Ian McShane advises the use of Radion, which has just joined the latest detergent bandwagon by becoming colour safe, hence the garish outfit. It makes a change from Radion's usual obsession, which is stench. Spent the late 80s and early 90s banging that drum, It doesn't seem to have had any impact.
Giving you fresh, bright clean. Get more out. Put new Radion colour in.
If you stop and think about it, a lot of adverts are about people having massive breakdowns for our entertainment. It makes you feel kind of guilty to be watching them after a while. Maybe you have to be Catholic. Anyway, this latest titty-cut folly comes from Mattison's Sausage, with a typical advertorial housewife and mother suffering a complete mental collapse in front of her fridge and imagining some kind of end-of-the-pier magic show with pork products and a bread bin and goodness knows what else. Thank Christ for a freckle-faced offspring puncturing the hallucination, but alas only momentarily.
Oh, smoked pork sausage, Mum. Magic!
Feed your imagination with Mattison's.
She has more than two problems, and no amount of processed meat can make up for it.
Feed your imagination with Mattison's.
Conkers. How timely, with horse chestnuts ripening across the lands or something. Do kids still go to this kind of effort these days? Or do they just play Virtual Reality Atrocity Simulator Middle East Edition? Who cares? This is one of those adverts where it's not at all obvious what it's for until they just say it outright. But that's okay, because it's cute and once a joke emerges, actually a little bit amusing.
Have you seen my shoelaces? No.
Have your kids got everything they need for autumn? For Ladybird, Woolworths is right up your street.
Oh, it's from Woolworths. Still much missed. B&M's and Wilko help fill the gap, but it's just not the same. Part of the reason why is that they don't have Woolworths classic sub-brands like Chad Valley Toys or The Video Collection. Or their Kiddywinks line of clothes, accessories and pencil case accoutrements, Ladybird. You knew where you were with Ladybird. In state education.
Matthew! Have you seen my shoelaces? No.
The kid in this shares with me a name and to a certain extent a relationship with a little sister. Except that my one would have torn strips off my face with her claws for this. I'm not exaggerating.
Have your kids got everything they need for autumn? For Ladybird, Woolworths is right up your street.
And then we're back in the tender mercies of the enemy within. And since I tore into her a bit at the start of the episode, it's only fair to provide some kind of case for the defence. You can't knock her work ethic, for example. Something like 7 full-length novels a year, plus 5 marriages and 9 kids. And she's only drank decaf for the past 25 years. You might worry about her personal health, working 20 hours a day on a diet of toast and miniature hornbills. You couldn't do it. And probably shouldn't. And while her books, with the best will in the world, aren't very good, they are very popular. And at last count, she was worth more than $350 million. So in a very real sense, she's won. She doesn't have to give a shit what anyone says. Not McSweeney's, not the Kirkus, and certainly not some random twat with an animated YouTube video series no one's heard about. I can point out that all her books are essentially the same, that the sexual politics or submissive tragic women and manly mean men isn't getting any less uncomfortable as time goes on. But one of her 5 husbands and 9 children really ought to have bought her a thesaurus a long time ago, if only so she could find another way of saying he wanted to take her in his arms. but she'll still be a multi-millionaire living in a gated mansion in San Francisco, and I'll still be eating cream crackers in a rainy hovel in Cornwall. Looking at adverts from adaptations of her work from 30 years ago. It'll all be worth it when the cushion takes the pen.
You've been watching a Bob the Fish production. Thanks! If you haven't found it already, be sure to check out our website at bobthefish.org.uk. Literally hundreds of videos not unlike this one that will make you laugh, think and realise new things or your money back. Which works out great because they're all absolutely free. All of this is possible thanks to the not unique way that Bob the Fish productions are paid for by you, the viewing public, via Patreon. For a donation of as little as £1 a month, not only do you ensure that I still have food and shelter so I can carry on making these programmes, but you could become eligible for a whole host of cool extras. New video essays, special event live streams, all my content a week in advance, and my book on the history of the BBC, Rule the Waves, chapter by chapter as it's written. And some cake, if you go out and buy a cake and eat it while you're watching. And if you don't want to support on a monthly basis, you can make a one-off donation via coffee. It all helps stave off scurvy. bobthefish.org.uk. You make it what it is.